Hello everybody, this is Mr. DSI Review. Today I'm going to be reviewing a 500-point game. This one is called Starship Defense, and as the name suggests, it's a tower defense style game that is set in outer space. We've got a pretty cool looking menu with Start, Staff Credits, DSI Menu, and Help. We're just gonna start. You'll notice the game is mainly white. It's got white and gray and really only 4 colors. It's got red for a few things here and there. But really the main 3 colors you're going to see are orange, green, and blue. Even if you just take a look over here, up here on the difficulty for some of the levels. Level 1 difficulty is just blue, level 2 is blue and green, level 3 is blue, green, and orange. Just to kind of show off the game, I'm going to be going with the second level. It has a nice simulation level, which is basically the tutorial. And it explains pretty well everything you need to know. But it doesn't exactly have everything I'd like to show off. Now, first off, up here on the top screen, those are the enemies, and down here on the bottom screen are your ships. It's saying next wave in 3, 2, 1. I'm just going to pause it real quick so I can do some talking. Also, if you look on the bottom screen down there, it has HP, that's our health. I don't know how well you can see that through the camera. And a little number, that's our energy, kind of like our points. And they're pretty much used as money. Now, to install weapons, we click on this little C, and you'll notice now these enemies are lining up, and that's the route they're going to take. It always starts you out with 240 points, except in the tutorial mission, which is when it's just 120. And you'll notice there are all sorts of weapons here. At first, you only have these 3. This one is the Ghost Laser. It's like a laser beam. Berserkers. It's a missile launcher. Gatling gun. It's, well, a Gatling gun. And then there are these, which are currently locked, and you need power crystals to unlock these. Every time you get one, or when you beat one wave, you get a power crystal. For now, we're just going to place a Gatling gun right here. Gatling gun's a fairly high-range weapon, and it's very high speed, not particularly powerful. That enemy there dropped a speed power-up. There are 3 types of power-ups, sort of 4. There's one for speed, range, and power. And then there's one that'll actually shift every couple seconds. So if you just hold on to it for long enough, you can have it be whatever you want it to. Now you'll notice these enemies right here are just like the ones we saw, except they're actually in gray. So what we're going to do, we're going to place a Ghost Laser here. Now Ghost Laser has a little S right there, little icon. Some of the weapons do. That means they can hit invisible enemies. You'll notice our Gatling gun isn't doing anything, but meanwhile our Ghost Laser is destroying them. And let's toss in another Ghost Laser right here. There we go. You can angle them however you want to, except the Gatling gun, because that's kind of almost like a circle for its range. And at the end of every mission you get, or wave rather, you get a couple bonus energy points. It starts out as 5%. Eventually you unlock this thing for 1 power crystal. It boosts it to 10%. For another one it'll boost it to 20%. Up here is the Y-bomb. It's a bomb that you place, and after 3 seconds it'll explode and do massive damage to everything around it. I actually don't have it unlocked because I wasn't able to beat the mission that you need to do to unlock it. But anyway, it's there. It's not particularly useful. And there's all sorts of other stuff. And let's say I'll get a starport. Can't afford it yet, but it'll be unlocked for me. Now previously we saw those little red enemies that look kind of like they have wings. Now these enemies are a bit different. They're much faster, pretty weak as well. And what they'll do is they'll try and crash into your ship and deal a good bit of damage. They're kind of like kamikazes. And if we just continue, next wave already, let's put a starport right here. Not going to do much this mission, but it'll send out a couple ships here and there, and there are all sorts of cool weapons and stuff. Now, as far as the video time limit goes, We may or may not have time to complete the whole mission, but hopefully we will. I'd like to show off as many weapons as I can. There, we got a range power-up. Now you'll notice the starport isn't put on like the side of the ships. It's actually put in the middle. There will be these little light gray diamond shapes, and that's where you can place some weapons like that. Others you'll have to place on the outside of the ship. Let's see now. I think I'll place maybe another ghost laser right here. You'll notice that fired some bullets at our ship right there. We get a power up. Place that there. And continue on. This right here is a health boost. We don't really need it, but it's there. There's a small one and a big one. They'll come every once in a while. When you're in trouble, I notice they tend to come a little more often, but it's somewhat random as to when they come, I think. Now, since these guys will pass through, we'll get to see the starport in action, or these little ships. They can be pretty useful, because they'll just fire some bullets here and there. These enemies are one of the toughest to kill. They've got a lot of health, but what they'll do is they can actually be really threatening, because they tend to come in groups of high numbers, and they'll just go towards your ship, spin around a bit, and do some damage. Kind of reminds me of a drill, and then move on. And meanwhile, these enemies are coming from the other side, so I'll get a gravigun. I'll actually get it, I'll place it right here. Gravigun pretty much creates like a black hole, and you'll notice that does a good bit of damage. It also has the little S beside it, which means it can hit quote-unquote invisible enemies. And then I think I'll place a Gatling gun right here to deal a good little bit of damage. There, you'll notice when I gave that the range bonus, it immediately had a lot bigger range. Like twice as much, pretty much. So. And so it kind of goes on like this. Now you'll see there's a boss coming through. And bosses are a lot tougher, obviously. This particular kind has two little ships floating around it, which makes it a little bit tough to hit, because they'll sort of protect it until you defeat those. Now we've only got one power crystal. Let's say we're in trouble. You can use SOS cards for one power crystal, and at the end of each stage you get an SOS card. This particular kind will boost all of my weapons' power temporarily for a decent amount of time, about a wave. There I inadvertently unlocked the mag ray. What that does is it'll kind of freeze an enemy for a little while. And it'll just be kind of open for you to hit it, basically. And so the game goes on like this, and there's a whole 30 levels. It's actually a really good game. The graphics and music and everything, I think they did a very good job with it. The only real problem I have, there are kind of two problems. First off, it feels a little bit repetitive. You always have the same money, it's always 10 waves, you know, so on, so on. It's kind of almost the same every time. Slightly bothers me, because it's just a little boring, and I can't bring myself to play more than just a couple missions in one sitting. Also, sometimes it feels a little slow-paced. Like, on some missions, especially like later on, the harder missions, you'll notice yourself losing a lot, especially on some of the later waves of it. So it's really annoying having to play through a whole bunch of waves over and over. And it's not exactly going super fast. Like, we're on wave 8, I think, and we're almost 10 minutes into the video already. So it would be nice if it had a fast forward button like Field Runners did. But either way, I still think it's a really good game. Graphics are nice, sounds are great. They did a really good job with the whole space theme. It really does feel like it's kind of a space game. and you know, I like it. I highly recommend it, especially to someone who's a big fan of tower defense games. There's a lot of depth to it. Like, at first, when you don't have a whole lot of weapons, it feels almost a little boring and like it's not going to be that great. But then you notice you start unlocking more stuff and lots of cool things. And, you know, there's so many missions. And you don't actually have to beat them all. There'll be forks in the road, and, you know, you can choose, do I want to do this mission or this mission, you know, this path, this path. So it's a really good game. I highly recommend it. And anyway, if you like this review, you can check out the full written review on my website. Also, please rate, comment, subscribe, send this to your friends, and I'll see you guys next time.